Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about my postpartum depression and anxiety story. Today is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. I thought that this story would be pretty awesome for Mother's Day since it's how I become a mom. So we're going to just dive right in. I remember sitting on the couch and feeling this wave of anxiety. I didn't know what it was because I had never had anxiety before or depression. And I just felt this wave of anxiety. After a couple of days, I was like, I have a tumor, I'm dying. Because you don't just have those type of feelings, you know. I didn't know what it was. So after seeing the doctor, I did talk to my husband about it, and he was like, we're going to figure it out. And who is now my husband. So he said, we'll figure it out. I did pregnancy tests and they all came back negative, which looking back, my sister did pregnancy tests and even her blood tests came back negative when she was pregnant. And so I did pregnancy tests. It wasn't until I started having stomach cramps where I just felt awful. My stomach hurt. It was really bad pain. Then I went to the ER. And that's when they told me the doctor will be in a minute to tell you about the baby. I'm like, the what? And this is 5.5 weeks. So they did ultrasounds and they did all that stuff. Turned out that she was healthy and everything was okay. Luckily, it just kind of, the anxiety and the depression just kind of resolved. And after I had her, I didn't have any postpartum anxiety or depression after having her. So I was really lucky that it kind of resolved in a matter of months. Fast forward 4 years, I got pregnant with my son. I did not have any anxiety or depression during the pregnancy, which is really strange. I had it after. So my son and my daughter were completely the opposite. I think it was about 2 weeks after I delivered him that it just hit me full on anxiety, depression. I couldn't hear him cry. It was really hard to hear him cry or hear my daughter need stuff. I was really, really out of it. I was really zombie-like almost. And I had to be hospitalized for about a month because I needed something right then and there. We had our families kind of jump on board and handle everything that needed to be handled because we had a 3.5-year-old and a newborn, and my husband was working and I was in the mental hospital. Looking back, I wouldn't change anything just because it's what kept me here. And I really feel like if I would have had to just kind of tighten my bootstraps and man up, kind of, as people would say, I don't feel like I would have been able to get through it. They did put me on medication, and I feel like it really helped pull me out of that place. And I think about when he was about a month, 6 weeks maybe, I stopped taking the antidepressant medication. And I was okay after that. Sorry, I'm still, after 2 weeks, my voice is still not back 100%. But I thought I would make this video anyway. And then fast forward another 4 years was, I was a surrogate, which I wish I had not decided to do that, because ever since I decided, my world has been really hard ever since I started taking the medication, the estrogen and progesterone medication. I had to do, every other day was 2 injections, and every day was 1. So I had to do 1 injection, and then the next day, 2 injections, the next day 1, the next day 2. Of the estrogen and progesterone. And then I had to follow it with medication that I had to take orally. Then they did the transfer, the embryo transfer, and then I had to pile on even more medication. It's really funny because I knew that the embryo took the next day. No. The day after. So 2 days I knew it took because I started having anxiety throughout the night. And I wasn't bedridden after the embryo transfer, but I had to stay in bed for, I think it was 24 hours. And I just took a nap and did all that stuff. So, and then the next night I had anxiety. And I remember telling the mother, it took. I had 2 embryos transferred, but I knew at least one took because I had the anxiety. And she's like, I can't wait to find out, if you're pregnant. There was a language barrier. She was full Chinese, so there was that language barrier. But they were living up in Canada, so I think she knew a little bit, but we did have a translator throughout the whole process. So she did manage to say, I can't wait, rest, I can't wait. And I was telling her, it took because, I know it took. I know, because I've been here twice before, and I know what the symptoms were. So I did have anxiety, and I remember, do I take this injection and it get my anxiety so much worse? But I knew skipping a day, I was afraid of what would happen if I skipped a day. So I never did. I just grinned and bared it and was like, I should skip today. My anxiety's so bad and these are making it worse. And I just would go through the motions and just take it. So I never did skip a day. I just dealt with it and was having a really hard time sleeping, with you having anxiety. I did have depression with this pregnancy, but anxiety was my overall, that was the worst, was the anxiety. That was my main symptom. It wasn't until I delivered that my world came crashing down. It was pretty much within days. I had to be hospitalized again. And this time I was put on a benzodiazepine because I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't dealing. I was just kind of in that fetal position, just zombie, don't remember a whole lot. So sad, so anxious, couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't take care of myself, couldn't take care of the kids. And started the benzo. It was helping, was hospitalized. I can't remember if I was on an antidepressant for the surrogate baby. I can't remember. But I definitely was on the benzodiazepine. And I think I was hospitalized for a week or 2. And when I came out of there, it took some time to get used to it and get my levels back to normal. But once my levels were back to normal, I stayed on the benzodiazepine because I was afraid to get off. I kind of started hearing horror stories on what benzos do. And that's when I really started getting scared. I kind of slowly started feeling like myself again. It took a long time. Everything was just such a blur, to be honest. I don't remember a whole lot about that time. And every time I did have postpartum depression or anxiety, I don't really remember the time that it was at the worst. I don't remember how I dealt with it when I did come home. I remember with my son, I would come home and realize I couldn't deal. I wasn't okay. And then I would go back and I would feel like I could stabilize and I would feel like I was okay, because all you would have to do is just sleep in there, talk to random people. You didn't really have much responsibility. And so when I would get home, I'd realize that I wasn't okay. And then I would have to go back. But the surrogate baby, I had so much help. I had my mom, my sister, who would take the night shift and take care of him. My mother-in-law and father-in-law were over on weekends. They worked, so they were over on weekends to help. During the day, my mom, my sister, my other sister, like I had kind of all hands on deck to help. And I think that that's why I could go away and get help, because not a lot of people can. And a lot of people do say, I had to just do it. I didn't have any help. I didn't have anyone else. And that makes me so sad. The thought of just kind of being so miserable and just not being able to cope with life and having those really bad thoughts. I remember with my daughter, the first time I experienced it, no, this was my son, not my daughter. My daughter, I didn't have any after her birth, my son. I remember handing my husband the baby and saying to him, you have to stay home and take care of them, or else I won't be here when you get back. And I do remember saying that because of the dark thoughts were just really racing through my head. And I didn't mean it like, I'm not going to be here, like I'm going to leave. I meant it like, I'm just going to, I guess, give in to the thoughts. And like it's when you're going through it, you know it's not you. You know it's not the way you think. And so I did cry for help. And I gave him our son and said, like, I'm not going to be here. I think that's when I drove myself to the ER. I think I drove myself to the ER. And so I did understand what was happening at that point, and I did understand when I was pregnant with a surrogate baby. And hindsight, I really thought that, people asked me, like, why would you do the surrogacy? And honestly, like, I thought I had it. I thought, I've been here twice. I know what to do. I can handle it, I was like, I can handle it this time. I just wanted to do something really cool. My sister, she had done it twice before. She signed up for 3 times. She did 2 sets of twins. So twins and then twins again. And then she did an embryo transfer the 3rd time and it did not take. And then she decided that she didn't want to do it again. So if it had taken, she would have done it 3 times. So she's delivered 5 babies and 1 is hers. So I saw how amazing it was to have that relationship with the parents. And I saw how amazing it was to give them that type of joy that I felt with my kids. And I really, really wanted to do that. I thought it was amazing. Looking back, I really wish I hadn't have done that, because I got over the postpartums with my kids. I had no medicine. I wasn't taking any medicine. Never needed sleeping pills. Never needed anything anxiety related after my son. Like, I was very careful to take medication with my first 2. It was because the 3rd one was the surrogate, and I had so much medication in my system, so much progesterone, so much estrogen, and it just was really, really, really bad, that I had to take medication. And here I am 8 years into it. My doctor did give me amitriptyline, which is an antidepressant. She did give that to me to try to get off the benzo. And I was just too scared. Every time I would start to come off the benzo, I would have like withdrawal. And I just eventually just stayed on both. It wasn't until I started having like ear pressure pain, head pain, that I thought like I need to get off of this if this is the thing that's doing it. So simultaneously I cut back on the antidepressant, and then I'd cut back on the benzo, and then I'd cut back on the antidepressant, and I'd cut back on the benzo. And then I got off the antidepressant. I kind of held there for a little while, and then slowly was tapering off of the benzo. And now I'm 4.5 months free of any benzo, any antidepressant. I only take trazodone at night, and or hydroxyzine. So my goal is to get off of everything, down the road. I was trying Nurtec for headaches because we don't really know what my ear problems are, my head problems. They think it's headaches, they think it's allergies, they think it's benzos, they think it's everything under the sun. And but I stopped taking Nurtec because any migraine medication, I have learned to find out that it really puts me into a depressive state. A week or two on any migraine medication, I've tried like 4, and it puts me in a really depressive state. So I have to just like hope that it's not the migraines because I can't take medication for it anyway. And keep checking on the allergy stuff. But it's weird because when I am sick and congested, it doesn't mess with my ears. It doesn't make them worse. It doesn't make them better. When I cry, it makes my ear congestion better. So it's just a very, very confusing thing. I try not to have like that regret and that I wish I didn't do that, because it's not going to change anything. But I've noticed that I feel that way more and more. I just catch myself like the misery I'm in right now. Like I created it. Like I would not be where I am if I hadn't signed up and I would have listened to my dad. Because again, my dad and my stepmom helped tremendously during my episodes. They paid for daycare for my kids while my husband was at work. Like everybody stepped up, everybody. My parents, my siblings, my husband's parents, siblings. And he tried to convince me not to do it. But at that point, I had already signed up. I had already picked a parent. I had already started the medication. And I just wish I would have listened. Because he wasn't telling me not to. He was telling me, remember what it was like. And, sorry guys, it's a very hard topic. But nobody's ever told me I told you so. No one. And I'm so grateful for that, that nobody said I told you so. They just say, what can I do? So I feel like the medication thing, I just got to keep moving in that direction, because my head wants to do, I wish I had never done this. I wish. And I just got to go, well, you're moving in the right direction. Hopefully a year off of benzos, which I have another 6.5 months, 7.5 months. I'm only 4.5 months off, so 7.5 months. I'm hoping then once I completely stabilize, I can start tapering off of the sleep aid, because that's just the hardest thing, that I'm really struggling with sleep. And that's the only thing that's helping. And I have to have sleep. I'm a mess if I don't. So that's kind of where I am today. I'm hoping that I could find myself again. and that the benzo is what's causing the ear pressure, fullness, headaches, head, everything, you know, because the longer I'm off of benzos, the more I can find myself again and not be a miserable person and be sad all the time. And I understand that it's part of withdrawal, like, but man, I wish it was a light switch. Like, you're in withdrawal. No, you're not. Like, I'm just trying to hang in there. And my family is so supportive. So supportive. I've never once felt like anyone has been like, toughen up or just do it, or like, never. Like this morning, my head was just a mess. It was hurting and it was just, I couldn't deal. And I'm like, I'm gonna go take a bath, and I'm gonna do, and my husband always says the same thing, like, you do what you have to do. You go take care of you. And it makes me feel guilty. It makes me feel sad because I don't want this. I don't want this. I want to travel. And I'm afraid that if the benzos, my nervous system or the wiring or whatever, if it's creating all the head issues, is it something that could be reversed? And it really screws with my head. It really screws with my head. Can the damage be undone that I did with medication and surrogacy? The good thing is before it hit me, the surrogacy, before the postpartum hit me, I did sign up to do it again. I was like, I'm good. I didn't get it this time. Like, I had it very not mildly, but I had it for a couple weeks during pregnancy at the very beginning, but I'm good. I didn't get it. And then wham, it hit me so hard. And I had to tell the agency, like, nope. And they were like, yeah, you can't do it again. And I was like, yeah, no. Yikes. So that's just kind of my story. And how do you be sick? Like, my question is, like, how is it okay to be sick? You know, like, people that are sick sometimes are portrayed as lazy. Nobody makes me feel that way, but I feel that way. And it's like, how are you sick and it's just okay? Because with my skin disease, my HS, it was painful. It's a really painful disease. It's like up there on like the top 5 most painful diseases. Luckily, I had stage 2. But it's extremely, extremely painful. But I could travel and I could do what I needed to do. And I feel with this head stuff, traveling and the different pressure and the going up and down and in a plane, and it's just makes my head feel like it's gonna explode. And I don't know if it's the benzo. I think the hardest thing for me is not knowing exactly what's going on. Neurologists say it's migraines. Allergists say it's allergies. Things I read about benzos say it's benzos. And I think the hardest thing for me is just not knowing what it is. I just don't know. I just don't know. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for watching. And I will see you tomorrow for my live at 12 o'clock. See you then, guys. Bye.